What's going on, family? Welcome back to the Royal Minds podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Mr. Royal Minds, Darrell Willis. And today I have an extraordinary guest with me, a guy that's going to give us a lot of information around how we can use our money to better satisfy our needs. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, everybody. This is AC, the C.P.A. I'm the president and CEO of John L. Financial Services located in the city of Flint. I'm a licensed certified public accountant, and I have a history of finance, a career in finance and accounting. Graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in finance, and then got my MBA from U of M, and then actually went back to school and spent some more money to get a master's in education and educational psychology.
Man,
Yeah.
look, that's something new that I didn't even know. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it.
All right, let's do it.
Let me see how to say it. Okay. What is it that you do as a CPA?
Oh, wow. What is it that I do as a CPA? My brothers and I run a company called the John L Group.
Gotcha.
It's a suite of businesses, 3 business units. It's got a financial services unit, a logistics unit, and then a construction unit.
Okay.
So whenever I'm introducing myself to new clients, as the CEO, I tell them my job as a CPA is to make sure that our company doesn't go broke. So it's about planning, business planning, forecasting, bookkeeping, making sure that your numbers are right, so that we can run our business by the numbers and not just only by what we feel. So my job as a CPA is to help clients with tax planning, tax strategy, because anybody can prepare their tax return. A person can prepare their tax return, by themselves. They can go to TurboTax. You can go to, there's a plethora of opportunities for you to prepare your own tax return.
Yeah.
But people don't pay me to prepare their tax return. They pay me for the knowledge that I have of tax law, so we can develop strategies to help you save taxes. My job as a CPA is to help you avoid taxes. Okay? There is a difference between tax avoidance and tax evasion, right? So tax avoidance is a strategy.
Right.
So if I tell you as a business owner, you should open up a self-employment pension plan, a SEP plan.
Gotcha.
Right? And you are looking for ways to avoid taxes or defer those taxes. I can say, we'll set up a SEP plan and contribute money from your profits from your business.
Right.
Contribute to your 401k, or your SEP plan. That's a business write-off. And you're avoiding taxes this year to pay them for a future year down the road when you retire.
Talk that talk.
Right? So that's what people pay me for. That's a tax avoidance strategy.
Got you.
Tax evasion will send you to jail. Right? That's you're eluding taxes. You're evading. You're not reporting income that you actually earned. So I tell people, Al Capone was accused and allegedly killed, quite a few people. He didn't go to jail for murder. He got convicted for tax evasion. They couldn't get him on murder,
Gotcha.
but they got him on tax evasion.
So you need to make sure that you counting every penny and reporting that.
Absolutely, because tax evasion will send you to jail.
Man, listen, that's something new. I did not know that.
Yeah. The whole movie Untouchables was about Al Capone.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner and Sean Connery and those individuals. It was about Al Capone. And Elliot, the character that Kevin Costner played, was an IRS special agent that took down Al Capone for tax evasion.
Man. So, okay. For a person like me, just the average American, right? Like, what is it that we can do to make sure that we're properly reporting the funds that we do have?
Well, one thing that you can do personally is keep good records and receipts. I know the society is going to this cashless society where cash doesn't, won't become prevalent. I think there'll be cash, around at least for the near future.
Yeah.
But making those electronic transactions actually helps create a paper trail. So it's not only knowing where your dollar is, but being able to record it. And, if you get $1,000, know where that $1,000 went. If you spent it on food, you should know how much you spent on food. If you got $1,000 and you spent $200 on food, you should know 3 months from now that in December you spent $200 on food because you have the record. That's what you can do personally, because what goes into that is if you can account for every dollar that you spent, you can start to see patterns. You can start to see, well, where is my money going? I'm always amazed at come tax time or come tax time that we're in tax time now. People don't know how much money they made on their job. They've never looked at their W-2.
So people don't be.
Some people, I'm telling you, Darrell, some of my clients do never have seen their W-2 until they present it to me.
So they
didn't even open it.
So they just look at the pay stub.
They just look at. I don't know if they looked at the pay stub. I know they looked at their bank account. On payday to see that check hit. But I'm always amazed at some clients who come in, they never looked at their W-2, and then I go over with them, the results from the tax return. I'm saying, on this year you made X amount of dollars compared to last year you made this much money, and the look of shock, like, what? I made that much money? Where did the money go?
See, it's funny that you say that because when I used to work for Kroger's, when I got my W-2s, it showed that I had made like, I want to say 20, 30,000. I'm like, where did that go? Because I ain't got nothing to account for that.
Right.
I'm like, oh, no, man, I ain't make no 20, 30. I'm like, y'all need to fix this because y'all must have took too much in taxes.
Man. So, that's another thing, as far as what can people do themselves, just the normal person. Keeping track, and a lot of banks now, if you do online banking, they kind of assist you. They'll tell you, they'll kind of give you a report. You can run it. You can go on the app, the bank application, and you can say they'll try their best to record the type of transactions that you're using. So if you're paying your rent electronically, or if you are paying for groceries, they'll try to, or going out to eat, just they will show you, try to give you that visual presentation of where your money is going. And for the most part, I don't know if it's utilized effectively by the average person, but it's information that's there and available. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, why would you say that? You don't know if it's utilized, right? Because of the shock that you see.
Because the shock that I see when people come talk to me, like, how in the world did I make that much money?
Yeah, like, where did it go?
Yeah, where did it go? And that's the question that always sticks with me when I'm sitting down with a client and the client asks me, where did my money go? And I'm sitting there, because they're looking at me and asking me, and I think it's a rhetorical question, because I hope it's rhetorical because I can't answer that for you.
Yeah, only you know.
Only you know.
Gotcha.
Because you only see me once a year when it's come time to prepare your taxes. Gotcha. When if you really wanted to take advantage of a CPA, you would see your CPA more than once a year. You would set up quarterly meetings with your CPA. This is where I'm at. Hey,
yes, sir.
let's meet up, let's schedule something in June. Because if you don't come see me until March,
Right.
okay, that means 2 months have already passed in the beginning of the calendar year.
Yeah.
And we're reconciling stuff that you did last year. If you didn't know what you did last year, then you don't know what you've done in the first 2 months of the new year. So where's the check-in point? If you really want to utilize the skills of a CPA, then you would actually see your CPA more often. You set up at least a biannual meeting. Maybe halfway through the year, this is what I've done. This is where I'm at. What things can I adjust for, this next half? Or what can I do now to prepare so that the next tax season, I'm not shocked when you prepare my taxes?
So we ain't having the same conversation.
We're not having the same conversation. We're having a different conversation. This is how much money I saved, or this is how much money I put away. This I got my tax bill down, right? So now that I've alleviated some of my excess spending, I'm now seeing more in my savings. What can I do with savings? Now that I have it.
Gotcha.
That's what you want a CPA to help structure not only your tax plan, but also understanding, like, from a personal standpoint, a net worth standpoint. How much are you worth? How much is your net worth? Most Americans have a negative net worth. That's the reality of where we are. Especially, it's amazing because even if you look at it, your net worth is your assets, everything that you own in life.
Right.
Right? Everything that has your name on it. Your cash, your cars, your house, your mortgage, whatever. That's an asset. And that asset has a value. Right? But then, for most part, you also have liabilities. So if you may own a car, but if you have a car note, that car is an asset, but you have a liability attached to it.
See, that right there is what I never understood, because a lot of people always said a car was a liability. So I'm like, okay, if a car is a liability, like, we need transportation.
Yeah.
So you know how a lot of people like, well, you should be frugal and get this type of car and this and that. Well, what if I don't like riding in that?
Yeah.
But like how you just explained it, it makes way more sense that it's not the actual car always that's the liability. It's the things that comes with the car.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the car is an asset in meaning that you can use that vehicle
Right.
to generate income. That's an asset. Something that you own that can generate income.
So what's the liability?
What's the liability is the cost of the car, or the car note that you purchase. So, for instance, you buy a $40,000 car today, right? Fresh off the lot, you paid $40,000. You may have put, let's say $1,000. Let's say you put 10% down, right? So you put $4,000 down on this car.
Right.
You have a liability now of $36,000 because you financed the rest, right? So on your financial report, you're showing an asset worth $40,000. But then on the balance sheet side, the liability side, you're also showing a liability of $36,000. So the net value of that car, when it talks about your overall net value or net worth, you have $4,000 worth of equity in the car. That's what the asset contributes to your overall net value, net worth.
$4,000.
$4,000. So you riding in the $40,000 whip, right? However, you got a $36,000 liability that you're going to pay over 5 years. And depending on your credit report, depending on your credit score, that loan comes with some type of interest rate. So if you have a decent credit score, like in the 700s, you have a really good credit score. You know, the interest rate is going to be low.
Yeah.
But if you have a low credit score, that interest rate is going to be excessively high.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. So now when you buy a car, the part of the paperwork is that you get an amortization schedule. So the amortization schedule tells you exactly how much, if you just made the car payment, how much money you're going to pay for that car over the life of the contract. And now if you use that amortization schedule, you're going to pay for that $40,000 car.
Yeah.
Over 5 years, you're going to pay $65,000 to $70,000, depending on your interest rate. So now you ask yourself, if I have a liability that's greater than the value of the asset, then I don't have an asset.
You just got.
That's why a car is a liability in certain extent, because you owe more than what the car is actually worth.
Man, I appreciate you for breaking that down, because I know a lot of us was looking like I said, a lot of people be like, a liability is it's an asset. I mean, a car is an asset. It's not a liability.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, how you just explained it, it tells the whole entire story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this though,
Yeah.
if you have a car and you use that vehicle to generate income, so maybe you use that car, you have a small business that you started off, right? So now the car isn't just getting you from place to place. Now the car becomes a business asset. Because now the car is used to generate business income. And then if you use your vehicle for business purposes, you can write off expenses. So now the vehicle becomes an asset generating or income generating asset, because now you're generating income by going to those client meetings, going to those dinners, going to that, showing up for that concert to meet the plug. Now it becomes an asset because those meetings are now generating clients, and those clients are becoming paying clients. So now
You in the money. Yes, sir.
And those expenses that you use to put gas in, the miles that you put on that vehicle,
Yeah.
you begin to expense that to mitigate some of those tax liabilities
Gotcha.
from that income that you generated for your business activities.
Talk that talk, man. Man, I see why they pay you. I see why. So
Yeah.
the question that I have for you is, how do we turn our money into soldiers for us?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of strategies out here.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned in finance school, and I'm not a professional licensed financial planner, so I don't claim to be a financial planner.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't mean I don't understand about financial planning either.
I got you.
So, one of the things that, people will say, you need to invest. And the question is always, what kind of stocks do I need to invest in? Or what do I invest in? Where do I start?
Yeah.
Right? And there's a plethora of quote unquote gurus out here that that give nuggets and everything like that. But I always tell people, you start by investing in yourself. What do I mean? The American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, the AICPA,
Yeah.
issued did research. This was a few years ago.
Gotcha.
And it said the average American cannot afford a $500 car repair because they have less than $1,000 in their savings account. Okay. So before people talk to me about investments, I ask them very candidly, how much money do you have in your savings account?
How much money you save?
How much money do you save?
Yeah.
Right? How much money do you have in your savings account? And then I get the blank stare, like, you want me to tell you? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need me to sign a confidentiality agreement?
Yeah.
I just need to know right now, how much money do you have in your savings account? Is it greater than $1,000? I got a little money saved up. Okay. Do you have 6 months of your fixed assets, all the payments for your fixed assets? Do you have at least 6 months of that saved up? And for the most part, it's emphatically no. Why do I say 6 months of fixed? I didn't say 6 months of your bills. I said 6 months of your fixed asset liability.
So it's the fixed asset
So
liability.
I'm about to explain that.
Gotcha.
Your fixed assets are costs that do not fluctuate month to month. Okay? These are your rent or mortgage payments. They're not going to change from month to month. It's the same mortgage payment, same rent payment. Today is going to be the same rent payment tomorrow, right?
Gotcha.
Or next month. They're your car notes, right? Your car note is the car note. Whether it's a lease or you're buying, it's going to be the same. They're fixed, meaning they don't change. I like to throw in utilities
Yeah.
in those fixed costs because for the most part, you're going to pay. Are you not going to pay your utilities? Are you not going to pay for water? Are you not going to pay for light and gas?
Oh no, we need them consumers.
Absolutely. So I throw in utility. This is the important aspect about what we talked about just a few minutes ago about keeping track of your records, where your money's going.
Gotcha.
Right? So if you know where your money's going, you can say, okay, it cost my rent is, or my car, or my house, my mortgage is $1,200. My utilities, if I add all my water, my gas, and my electricity bill, I spend roughly $300 a month to do that. So that's $1,500. My car note is $300. My insurance is $200. Now we're getting into $2,000, right?
Gotcha.
And then if you have other types of fixed assets, like sometimes you have life insurance, people have life insurance policies that they pay on every month, that goes into a fixed cost.
Gotcha.
Right? So you add up all of that. Simple math. Add, and then you multiply by 6. That's the number that should be in your savings account.
All right, so I hope y'all caught that. He just gave you guys the formula to make sure you know where your money is going, correct?
Absolutely.
Man, so
And how much money you should have at least in your savings account.
get your pens and your pads, man. I tell y'all this every episode. You see why this brother is sitting here right now. They pay you because you specialize in what you do.
Yeah, I've been, and not only do I specialize it, but I really do practice what I preach. Part of I didn't grow up, wealthy at all.
Gotcha.
I grew up on the north side of Flint, Michigan. Like I grew up in a single parent home. My mother and my grandmother raised 4 boys. We didn't come from money at all.
Gotcha.
Like my grandmother struggled to make sure that we had all of our needs met and occasionally got the things that we wanted.
Gotcha.
Right? So I didn't always have this knowledge. It wasn't until, check this out. So I go to college and I graduate with a finance degree.
Gotcha.
Right? So I went to college to study this stuff. I had a child, got married, had a child, we bought a house. And I had not developed these sound financial principles that I'm talking about today. Even though I went to college and knew about the CAPM method and the rate of return on an investment, the ROI on the rate of return on investment, or, the time value of money, the future value of money. I'm talking all finance stuff right now. Any financial guru would know what I just said.
Got you.
Right? I knew all that stuff. Graduated. But yet I had no practical application to the things that I learned because I didn't have sound financial behaviors. There's a difference between financial knowledge and actually practicing sound financial behaviors.
So how do we develop the financial behaviors?
I'm glad you asked. It's doing the small things that we just talked about. Behaviors are learned over a period of time.
Right.
So now I'm getting into my master's of education.
Gotcha.
I wrote my thesis on the effectiveness of financial literacy on financial behaviors.
Got you.
Okay. What I found in doing the research is that financial knowledge in of itself has little effect on your financial behaviors. Meaning just because you know how to open up a bank account, just because you know about compound interest, doesn't correlate to you yourself practicing sound financial behaviors. You need to be shown how to practice sound financial behaviors.
Gotcha.
How do I learn that? Well, you probably need a mentor. You need to find out who's doing it. And it's not even a matter of reinventing the wheel. Benchmark. Benchmarking is a beautiful word for saying copying.
Yeah.
Copy what they're doing. Learn about, okay, so tell me this. What can I do? I don't make $1 million a year. I don't make $1 million a year. But that doesn't mean I can't practice some of the same sound financial principles that someone who does make $1 million a year and keeps 80% of that. So they make $1 million and they only spend $200,000.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's those things that you start to think about. Okay, I don't make $1 million. I can't live on 20%. But what can I live on? What can I really live on? Like, what are they denying themselves for that allows them to live on 20 to 30% of their income when they earn so much more?
Okay. Would you say that's the discipline?
I'm going to tell you that it's definitely discipline. The number one financial behavior that people who are wealthy and financially sound, okay, the number one behavior that every one of them displays is the behavior of delayed gratification. It's a psychological trait that every saver has, the ability to delay their own gratification in the instant for something greater in the future. How do we do that? You set financial goals for yourself.
Okay.
People who set goals, people who set sound financial goals, we call them, and this is the acronym, they're called SMART goals. They're very specific. They're measurable. They're attainable or achievable. They're result-oriented, and they're timely. So it's not just saying, I'm going to set a goal to be, to pay all my bills off in a month. That's not a SMART goal. A smart goal would be, I will pay these bills every month by the 31st of every month, or the last day of the month. X, Y, and Z bills will be paid on time. Right? So if I'm going to pay these by the due date every month. I'm not going to incur not one single late charge this month.
Gotcha.
I'm going to pay my bills on time. You would be amazed at how much money you'd save if you just paid your bills on time.
Man.
If you just paid your bills on time, the average person who lets the bill sit for over 5 days, they start to incur late charges. So your cell phone bill that should have been $70 becomes $75, $76 every month. And we say, oh, that's just $5. Well, you extrapolate that over the rest of your bills that you have conveniently paid and incurred late fees for. That $5 here, $20 there. Oh, I got an overdraft charge over here. That's $35. Now you're getting into, the hundreds of dollars a month just in late fees.
So you just giving them your money.
You giving them money away, and you multiply that by 12. Now that $100, that $1,200, that $200, or that $100 becomes $1,200 over the year.
Man,
In money that you just gave away because you didn't pay your bills on time.
that just made me sick. But it makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense. Why does it make so much sense? Because my mother and my grandmother struggled. I tell this story whenever I'm talking about personal finances.
Gotcha.
My mother, I learned this behavior, and this is no slight to my mother. This is just fact. Okay, we knew when my mother was behind on bills because before there was caller ID, the phone would ring,
Right.
and it would ring and ring and ring. The person would hang up and call right back. My mother would instruct us, don't no one answer the phone. And it would always be around the same time, because she knew they were bill collectors that were calling the house trying to collect on a bill that she could not afford to pay. So we were told not to answer the phone. Right? So my mom didn't call them back to make payment arrangements or anything like that. She just paid them when she could. Fast forward that 20 years later, when I'm owning my house, I'm a homeowner now. I'm a father, I'm a husband. I have people that I'm responsible for. Right? Now I have a cell phone. I have caller ID. So now I can see who's calling. And the card company, financing company call. After 5 days, the card notice past due.
Yeah.
They start calling. I can see that it's the bill collector. And instead of calling and telling them, I can't pay today, let's work on a payment arrangement, I just hit ignore. I'm practicing the same behavior that I saw my mother practice. It's just 20 years later and we have more technology available. But it's the same behavior.
Man.
Because behavior is learned over a period of time, and it's hard to break those behaviors unless you're shown a different behavior.
That's why you need that mentor.
That's why you need that mentor to show you, man, I'm struggling, man. I don't want to be in this position anymore.
Man.
My family was, and I've always, since I've been in college, I've always made good money. I always made good money because I knew that I had a valuable skill. So I always made money, but I never practiced those behaviors that I was never shown.
So you didn't have a money-making problem like most people. We don't have a money-making problem.
Right.
We just have a problem with the behaviors that we're out here displaying.
Exactly. So we want to feel like we're wealthy.
Like we the 1%.
We want to feel like we're the 1% without actually being a part of the 1%.
Talk that talk.
Like if you're going to be financially sound,
Right.
you have to practice the behaviors of those who are financially sound.
Got you.
That's why a Dave Ramsey can get on the airways and amass millions of followers. They're trying their best to practice some of the behaviors and the concepts that he's teaching. Because if you yourself want to be financially free, you got to practice the behaviors of those who are financially free. There's no getting around it.
It's a fact.
You cannot. There's only two ways to affect or to grow your bottom line. What I mean by bottom line, your net income. You have income less expenses equals net income.
Another formula for y'all.
Okay. Income less expenses equals net income. There's only two ways you can increase your net income. You can make more money or you can decrease your expenses. There's only two ways. So there's a term, it's not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep.
Yes, sir.
Right? So I never had a money-making problem. I had a expense problem. I had a impulse problem. I had a behavioral problem that I had to correct. And it wasn't until I started working with a mentor and got fed up, quite frankly.
Gotcha.
Got fed up with just the rigmarole, the same cycle. Like I would get paid Friday and then by next Friday, I'm pinching pennies until the next Friday when I get paid. My bills, they would get paid, but they get paid late. I'm paying additional money in late fees. And God forbid, I go 30, 60 days past due. Now it's affecting my credit report.
Man. Listen.
At 30 years old.
Yeah.
At 30 years old, I had a credit score of 519. 519. That was my credit score at 30. By the time I reached 30, I had already made about $1 million in my earnings. From the time that I graduated college to the time I became 30, I had already earned $1 million.
So how much of that did you see?
I saw, well, at least 25% of that went to taxes.
Got you.
Right? At least 25 of that went to taxes.
Got you.
The rest went to life. And nothing in my savings account. Can you imagine? So when people say this about athletes, athletes get a really bad rap. Because people think that because professional athletes make so much money that they should never go broke.
Right.
Well, the average athlete spends all the money that they earned in professional sports by the time they're 5 years out. Unless you had an extravagant contract and you just never could spend all that money at one time. You didn't really save a whole lot of money because you never thought that it would end.
See, that right there, I just had a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And they told me that to a degree I was wrong. And I'm like, the reason a lot of us are in a hard situation when it comes to finances is because we living above our means.
Yeah, part of that is true, but it's living above our means because our financial behaviors are out of whack. Darrell, I don't care if you don't know about. I don't care if a person doesn't know how compound interest works.
Gotcha.
I don't care. That really doesn't bother me. What bothers me is that you can't put $200 a month into a 401k consistently and not touch it. And over 30 years, when it's time for you to retire, you retire a millionaire. I just want you to put $200 a month in the retirement plan and don't touch it for 30 years. Just consistently put $200 a month in a retirement plan.
Man.
And don't touch it. Don't use it when things get tight and pull out the retirement plan. Don't use it because you want to buy a new house. Don't use it because things, like I said, things get tight and I just need to get out this pickle, so I'm going to just pinch off of my retirement. No, that's for retirement. Don't even count that money anymore.
Be disciplined.
Be disciplined. Delay that gratification
And you'll have
for
cash.
30 years. When you retire, you will retire a millionaire. Just putting $200 a month into a retirement plan and not touching it. That's what I want people to do. That's what I want you out there listening to do.
All right.
And the sooner you can start it, the better.
Listen, he just gave y'all a whole nother formula to be a millionaire, fam. Like, I don't know how much more you can give them. Like, I don't.
But we do have to. It takes discipline, and when I say it takes discipline, I really do mean it, because life happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Life happens, and if you don't know where your money is going now, you can't even assign it to go anywhere else. You don't know where it's going now. It's doing whatever it want to do.
Yeah.
Because as an individual, you haven't given that dollar an assignment. As an individual, you're not telling yourself, this is what I'm spending my resources on. I'm going to prioritize savings. I'm going to prioritize investing. If I got to cut off Hulu, if I got to cut off Apple Play, if I've got to cut off Netflix, if I got to cut off cable, I didn't have cable for 3 years because I was trying to dig myself out of a hole. I didn't have cable for 3 years. I had internet. That was it. Internet and a cell phone.
And it's crazy because that's how a lot of people is living now.
I know, but the cost of the internet is so high now. And then you buy all these streaming services. Like I heard a commercial about an app that will cut off and cancel streaming services for you because people don't know how many streaming services that they're subscribed to. It's $15 here, it's $19 there, it's $10 here, it's $12 here. And you start to accumulate all that. You're spending $300 a month on streaming services that you're not even watching. The average person watches 3 or 4 channels every day. 3 or 4. Why are we paying for 8,000 channels?
And you ain't even watching all
You're
that.
not watching them. You're not watching them. You're watching 3 or 4 network stations
Yeah.
on average.
Man.
So when you ask where your money is, how can we dig ourselves out of the hole? Like people, we have to have a hard conversation with ourselves. Am I satisfied? Have the decisions that I've made in life, right? Have the decisions that I made in life led me to this position that I am right now today? Am I satisfied? Am I happy?
You gotta look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, absolutely you do. The decisions that you've made over your lifestyle, over your lifetime, has positioned you where you are right now today. And you have to genuinely ask yourself, am I happy with where I am? If you are, continue to do the things that you've been doing. If you're not, you've got to change. You've got to do something different. I had to do something different. I had to look myself in the mirror. I had to look at my wife and say, I'm sorry, I failed. Like I've failed in my ability right now to put us in the best position possible. I had to just confess it. Like, this is my fault. This is on me. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live to where we're living paycheck to paycheck anymore. And I'm telling you, oh, you can't spend $200 this week on groceries because I only got like $180 in the account and I need gas for the next 2 weeks. So what can we do? Can you put like, can you go to the store and get something for the family with $100? Like, what can you do? Or, can you use your credit card to buy food? Like, we're financing food now. That's where we are.
Man.
As a society, we're financing food. If you swipe that credit card to buy food and you don't have that amount in your bank account to pay that off by the end of the month, you just spent interest on food. You financed a meal. So when we talk about financing and financial literacy and CPAs, like what can I do as a CPA to help? It's like, let's get a handle on our behaviors. That's why I went to school. I didn't have to go to school and study education.
Yeah.
I was well off. But I went back to school to study behaviors. I'm an educational psychology major. So I studied how people learn. How do we learn these behaviors? We learn these through the behaviors really through observational learning. Just copying what a person, what another person does, we will copy. And if we see that it has benefited that person, then we're likely to repeat that behavior. And so social media has just exacerbated this whole conversation about, copying behaviors.
Yeah.
We see an instant like, and it causes endorphins to fester in our brain. And now we like, oh yeah, this feels good. Somebody liked it. That immediate gratification. And so we'll repeat behaviors. But what we don't show is the other side of that decision.
That part where your stomach touching your back.
Yes, exactly. That's what we don't show. And that's behaviorism. Everything is about behaviors.
Man.
Financial literacy, financial freedom is about the behaviors that you practice on a daily basis. You string together some positive behaviors.
Talk that talk.
You say, okay, here's a SMART goal for me. I'm going to pay my bills and I'm going to save $100 this month. I'm going to pay my bills and I'm going to save $100 this month. Can you do it? Do you have the financial means to do it? You probably do. Does that mean, you delay going out because you've got a goal in mind? So you save that $100 at the end of the day. At the end of the month. You see that $100 in your bank account. That's immediate gratification because you just accomplished that goal. Yes, I accomplished that goal. Now, the challenge is to run it back next month.
That's where the discipline comes in.
Yeah, because now you got to run it back. It's great to achieve one, but that's not the overall goal. The overall goal is financial freedom. But there's different sub goals that's related to that eventually leads us to that ultimate goal.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a basketball season. Every game played gets you closer or further away from that goal, depending on how you perform.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
Depending on how you perform. You're either closer or further away from that goal.
Man.
So you string together some victories. If you are able to do that over a period of time,
Yeah.
that $100 become 200, 200, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,000. something magical happens when you see $1,000 in your savings account.
I know I feel good when I do.
Exactly. Something magical happens to the brain because you've consistently practiced the behavior and you spend so much time and so much discipline to get there. You don't want to let it go. And so what you do, you run it back. And now that 1,000 becomes 2,000. And 2,000, 4,000, 4,000, 8,000, 8,000, 16. Like the law doubling happens. And it all happened because you decided to change the behavior and become consistent with that behavior.
Man.
And along the way, you're paying your bills, you're saving money. Now we can talk about investment. Because there's no reason because investments, the difference between savings and investments.
Right.
Okay. There's a different strategy in both. Savings, you want to be able to have in case life happens. Okay. Life is going to happen to everybody.
Gotcha.
Right. So the ability for you to save is to handle those emergent short-term fixes.
Gotcha.
Right. Well, investments are a long-term strategy. You're investing for the future.
Gotcha.
So when you put money in an investment, it does you no good if you immediately pull that money out of that investment. Investment advisors, investment planners will tell you, please don't take out money unless you absolutely have to, because there's capital gains, there's growth. When you leave it there and allow it to grow, if you start taking things out, you lose or you disrupt the law of doubling. Your investment, in most cases, you can double your investment over a 7-year period.
Gotcha.
Takes about 7 to 8 years for you, depending on the interest rate. It takes about 7 to 8 years for you to double the investment, the initial investment that you made. Well, you double that, and then you double that, and then you double that. That's how compound interest works. And before you know it, 30 years from now, that $10,000 investment is worth $2 or $3 million.
Man.
But it's a long-term strategy.
Gotcha.
But you can't get to the long term if your belly hungry.
Man.
Why am I talking to you about the future if your current situation is struggling? So now we gotta deal with that first.
We gotta worry about this right now.
Exactly. And like, what things can we change up? What things can we switch up today to help put you in a better financial position in the short term, so that you can now think about long term? Human society didn't get to where it was until we identified how to secure ourselves,
Gotcha.
how to feed ourselves, how to clothe ourselves. When you have your immediate needs met, now you can look up and ask yourself, I wonder what those lights in the sky represent. Like, what do they mean? I see this big sun in the sky, this big ball in the sky. What is that? You can start to think when you're safe, when you're secure. And now you can start focusing on your long-term goals. You can long-term plan and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
But you gotta get your short-term strategy secured.
Man, listen. You done hit us with so much game tonight. Like, man, listen to me. Look, hold on. Before we even get into this, because we get into the part that I hate.
All right.
Where we gotta, kind of wrap things up, because I know you got a family to get to and I got a wife to get to as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
The thing is that I want to tell you guys is stop avoiding the scam likely costs. Because 9 times out of 10, that is a bill collector calling you and you need to go ahead and take care of that, fam. Don't feel bad, because I done did it myself. Absolutely. I think everybody here at the set done did it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We
didn't all avoid a scam likely. But go ahead and pick up the phone, man. They just trying to help you. So help them help you get them their money. I'm going to just say that first and foremost. Next, It's like, man, like I said, we didn't got to the point that I hate to do. So my very last question for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you could give the people a gem to success, what would it be?
A gem to success. I guess my gem would be to just be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. You know, and it's okay. It's okay to be honest with yourself.
Gotcha.
Meaning, I had to be honest with myself. Degreed, C.P.A, everything. I was a college professor at 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I still had less than $1,000 in my bank account. And I had to be honest with myself and ask myself the hard question. What am I really trying to do with my life?
Gotcha.
And throughout all the academic success and the career success, it really wasn't what I wanted. I wanted more. And it's okay to want more. Like, it's okay. It's okay to want more.
Gotcha.
But just being honest with yourself, and then once that honesty and that transparency comes in, and you come to a realization of who you are and what you want to do, then don't be afraid to seek out those with the expertise to help you. Like the scripture says that pride comes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. You can't be so prideful and so, I'm this, I'm that you don't seek out the wisdom of others.
Gotcha.
So if like me, I had the academic success. I didn't have the behavior success. So I actually asked a person, my mentor, who I thought he had everything. Like, I thought he had it. Like, I looked at him. I said, man, look, I want what you got. What can I do? And he sat me down and said, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. And when he gave me an assignment, I did the assignment. I didn't just understand the assignment. I actually did the assignment and accomplished the assignment.
Talk that talk.
Right. I didn't just understand it. I actually did it. And I strung together some successes. And once I got the momentum going, it was no stopping me.
You snowballed that thing.
Snowballed it. Avalanche running down the cliff.
Man.
You ain't stopping the avalanche.
Oh, no, you ain't.
It stopped when it want to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Man, listen. I appreciate you for coming to sit with me today, man.
I appreciate you having me.
Man, all of the game that you done gave. Look, I'm finna go back and watch this myself and take some notes. Because I'm like, man, how you know about me like this? Man.
Human behavior, man, doesn't change. It hasn't changed very much over the last, 200,000 years. So
Got you.
Human behavior hasn't changed.
I got you. So I know it's going to be a lot of people that's going to want to get in contact with you.
Sure.
How can the people connect with you?
Yeah, so you can reach out to us at our website, www.thejohnlgroup.com. You can email us at info@thejohnlgroup.com. We are on Instagram at John L Financial Services, at John L Financial Services, and you can like our page, our financial services page on Facebook.
Okay. And then also, how can they connect with you?
They can connect with me directly if you on Instagram. I'm AC the C.P.A. If you want to contact me, I don't even. I'm not on Twitter. Yeah, and I don't have a Twitter account, but I do have IG.
Gotcha.
I do have Instagram account, and then the other Facebook social medias. I keep my social media light, but if you want to reach out to me on social media, you can follow me at AC the C.P.A.
Got you.
Yep.
Man, listen, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me. This was fun.
Man, listen, like I told you, run this back. Get your pens and your pads ready because there's so many gems in this right here. Please, please, please run it back, man. Just watch it twice. That's all I'm asking. Listen, like, share, subscribe, and come back and hang with us, man.
Absolutely.
It's the Royal Minds Podcast. Appreciate you.